share my screen. So these are the submissions for today. Very cool. Let me know also if you guys hear the music this time around. This one's super cool, but I don't know if I have enough time to do something like that. But yeah, let me show you what I was working on. So if we go to a project, this is the one from yesterday. So I was gonna mention yesterday I had a little bit of a hiccup when I was trying to do like a simple rig, KineFX rig with the spider that I made. But let me show you what I ended up doing. I looked at some tutorials online, and I was able to kind of figure out what it was. Human versus humans. Hey, what's up? So normally you have like the geometry like this, right? This is what we want to pose into our position for the final render. And then what you end up doing is adding a skeleton. And then the way you do that, it was just you drop in the skeleton, and then use this flag here to template. And then when you select the actual skeleton, you can see the wireframe. And if you press enter on the viewport, it goes into this creation mode for the skeleton. So if we go and we do the point snapping, we could start adding the bones. This one was a little bit off its point here. So press enter again. And then it knows where to put it. Right? So you see it put the bones right in between the geometry. And then you just press enter and then draw some more bones. So you get the picture, and then you end up with this right here. And then what you end up doing is we got to get a few nodes here. So here, I'll show you, this is the one we need for the correct attributes to be added to it, is bone capture lines. And then this one is the tetrahedral, I guess, conform, which makes like a caged mesh. And that we connect to the geometry and then to the actual bones with the attribute. Let it load, and like you could see that it did like a cage around it. The geometry is a little bit different. And then this bone capture harmonic, that's like to paint weights. So it automatically paints the weights. And then after, you're gonna do a bone deform and connect the first input of the bone harmonics to or the first input of the bone deform, you connect the bone capture harmonics, and then the tetrahedral conform in here, and then the bone capture lines. Let me see, what am I doing wrong here? I don't know if I need this one here. And then we do a rig pose. I believe that's what it was. So then when we select, oh, what happened here? There it is. Okay. So yeah, let's see what it says. Missing attributes from skeleton. Let me see what happened here. Oh, okay, so this is pretty much the setup. So it's the geometry of the whatever model you have, the skeleton, bone capture lines, then the tet conform, and then the bone capture by harmonics. It's calculating and kind of froze a little bit. And then yeah, we'll leave the bone deform disconnected. Yeah, I'm not sure why this one ended up doing this weird. What is this? Maybe because I copied it from the actual setup that I had here, and kind of messed it up. But once you have everything connected, oops. Once you have everything connected, I'll show you real quick with the Tommy test model. So that's the model, and then when you add the rig pose, then you can move it however you want. So if I go and select here, I can rotate and moves the character or whatever your model is. There you go. So that's kind of what I did here with the model. And let me see if I have enough undos to go back where we started. Or you know what? I could probably reopen the file. All right, let's check real quick. Okay, so here is what I ended up doing. So without the rig pose, like you just kind of turn it on and then pose it how you want. And then that's kind of what I ended up doing. And then I outputted the hairs after of the spider. And then was messing around with some of the render settings here. So let me show you. So yeah, that's kind of what I ended up with from the last, from the animal, day 2. So let's jump into day 3, and it's aquatic. So I'm thinking of doing something like underwater with a shell. So this is what I was working on earlier. And what I have here is just a simple line. Added some points onto it. Then added a P scale. And I don't know what I have to here. We'll check in a bit. And then the poly wire. And then I'm adding the attribute instead of constant attribute, and then the P scale attribute. And then I'm doing a twist and kind of messing around with it. I don't think we need that, do we? Bend. Oh yeah, curve view. Added an attribute there. And then the bottom part of the shell here, I just kind of blasted that. And that's kind of where I left off, basically. So maybe we add a little bit of thickness here, so it's not so flat. So if we add a extrude and then try that before the twist, or let's see what happens if we add this here, the extrude. I'll put back and then the twist. Okay, so we got some thickness there. Let's turn off the points. So what do you guys think so far? Is it worth exploring more, or should I do some other underwater thing? I'm thinking like maybe it would be like maybe the bottom bed of an ocean, and then like light rays or something, and maybe duplicating this around in different areas, like into the sand. If we put a sand floor. Yeah, we could do different things. Let me check some stuff online, what we find. I'm looking at actually Mid-Journey, like a search, and I'm just typing in like shell and sand. Just to kind of get ideas. Or it could be even like, well, it needs to be aquatic, so it has to be, we have to add the water element somewhere. Yeah, like this looks like it's underwater, but like you can't really tell too much. Maybe something like this. And copy that. Yeah, maybe something like that. Let's see what else we have. Find. What else we can find. Underwater. Like this is cool. Let's save the canvas here. And it's just to get inspiration. I'm not trying to copy exactly any of these references. That looks pretty cool. This is interesting. It has like extra kind of extruded pieces here. I like how this looks too. I don't know, maybe. All right, let's keep going. Let's all right, so maybe we can make it a VDB to mess around with it a bit further. So drop in a convert to VDB. Let's go on. Oh, not convert. It's a VDB from polygons. And then we gotta lower the voxel size. Let me save this just in case we get a crash. And then we can convert it back. Or let's do a VDB smooth. That's a lot. So it kind of joins the pieces together. Like before it's kind of overlapping here. And then we're converting it and then smoothing it. And then we can convert it back to polygons. So we'll do the convert VDB. And then we can put polygons. And then the other thing we can do is a quad remesh. Probably need to make it a little bit thicker. Let me save it again. So let's go back real quick to the poly extrude before we did all those procedures. And let's put 0.01. And then we twisted it, then convert to VDB, then smoothed it, convert it back, and quad remesh. Yeah, we're still getting some artifacts here. Just adding the decimation level see what it actually does. So yeah, maybe something like that. Let me go back to the VDB and maybe we can add a little bit more resolution, voxel size, just lower it. So it's 0.001 and then smooth it. Yeah, it's not really working like that. So we'll just leave it as a convert. And let's go back to the resolution and bring it back to 2 so we can get smoother. And let's see. Yeah, well that kind of kills the shape a little bit here. That's probably too smooth. Maybe like that. And then we can add a, what if we just add like a quick mountain? Just to see what it does. Yeah, it looks horrible. All right, let's. The other thing we could probably do is bring the mountain before the extrude. And then put 0.01. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's working so well. Let's do a attribute VOP instead. So avop. And if we dive inside, we can connect some noises in here. So we can add turbulent noise. And after this, we'll try something else on maybe like the sculpt brush and see if that just does something better. And we'll put in the P attribute and then we'll add itself and the noise and then output to P again. And then we're gonna have to lower the amplitude. Put the signature to 3D noise. That gives it a little bit more like a irregular. It's too much, but if we lower it, whoa, 0.01. Let's remove the wireframe. Maybe something like that. Let's save this. And let's just quickly add our floor. So we'll just put in a grid. And let's just, let's get some lighting in here. We'll do a distant light. And we can add a dome light to just fill in that shadow. Not that much, but maybe 0.3. Turn off the light gizmo so we don't see it. Kind of looks like a poop emoji, like sideways. I don't know. All right. Let me see if we rotate it. And then I could do a match size. So when I rotate it, it always stays at the bottom and centered. So I could put in the justify Y, put min. So now any transformations that happen beforehand will always stay above the 0 axis here. You see? I don't know. We'll see. And we could just drop it a little bit under the ground. And for the ground, we can probably use some of the stuff we already built. So let's turn this off. Save this again. Go into the attribute VOP that we created. And let's only see this one here. So we're gonna need some more resolution. We're adding rows and columns. Put like 250 by 250, and then we'll copy paste the attribute VOP. And then we can mess around with the amplitude and the frequency. We can make it bigger. Okay, now it's too low. Or the other thing we can do is add a match size. Same thing we did before, but instead of min, we put max, and then that stays under the ground, under the 0 origin. All right, so yeah, so in the areas where it would kind of dip in because of the noise, you could see that there's the grid. But because it's dipping, it looks like it went too low. But we'll drop this even further. And save again. Let's take a look. And it's kind of giving the floor a little bit of shape of that sand bed. Let's start messing around with maybe some colors. Let's add some materials. So we'll move this up and bring in a material library. And the other thing too, we could probably look at the material linker, and that has a catalog of a library in here that we can use also. So I'm wondering if maybe there's something that looks like sand here. I haven't really used these, but maybe it's a good opportunity to test some things out. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's like a sand or anything like that. Okay, well, we'll try to make something for the sand. All right, let's go in here and bring in a USD material builder. Call this sand. Drag it in here, add that in there. Something like that, and has very little reflection, so we'll lower that and add roughness 0.5. We'll see what that looks like. And then in the, let's delete the material linker. Everything's all set up. Let's do a quick render. Okay. That's like the base, maybe the base color. We can start adding more stuff to it. So what did we have here for underwater? This is pretty cool. Like it looks like it's the same thing, but kind of well, it's different shells making like one little pyramid or one shell. Maybe ideas. What can we do here? So if we have the regular shape, we got our twist. I think our twist is the base shape to create something interesting. And we can add normals to it just to make sure. All right. And then we can do a scatter. And then we could do like a copy to points. We did this in the first tutorial. Let's bring in the lower resolution one here. It's gonna look crazy right now, but we can scale this down. So attribute, adjust float. It's already on P scale. We just, instead of add, we'll do set, or let's do multiply. Randomize. We merged the original to this one. And then it's like a bunch of them got stuck to it. And we can probably rotate this model. I'm gonna throw in a match size just so it's center. Let's see what else we can do. Lower the scale maybe. And this looks pretty crazy. And then what we can do is the same operations here, and then bring the entire setup and see what that looks like. So that gave us like some detail in there. What if we make it just a little bit bigger? And in here, I'm just gonna make it thinner as well. So it looks like this. And then I'll do a clip for the bottom. Like that. And then fill the bottom. And then we just got to make sure we're in the correct orientation. This is our rotation stuff here. Negative 90. Oh, yeah, I kind of messed it up here because our clip is in the wrong spot. So let's go back here. We had, I think, negative 70. And we had, okay, so it's good here. And then let's add a transform after the fact. There it is. So it's like aiming the correct way. All right. All right, so we have something going on here. And maybe we can add more shells in there. So right now we have 160, just about. Let's put 500. So looks kind of crazier. 900. And then go back all the way to the bottom. We'll see. We'll see where this goes. So let's add a shader for the actual shell. And we can add another USD material builder. Shell. Drop it in there. And you could pretty much do anything you want with it. Make it metallic or whatever. But I'm not going to do that. All right. Let's change some colors here. This is cool. Let's see what we can do with that. Let's go back real quick and go into the main shell, and then we'll drop in an attribute VOP. And now instead of tweaking the points how we did before, we can do the color, so it'll be CD. We'll do the same thing we did last time. And if we put in CD and output to CD, let's see what we get. Oh, I hope it doesn't crash. All right, it's hanging up. They're thinking. Did we save before this? I hope we did. Okay, let me save. All right, what? Let's do a UV, auto UV. This is gonna be crazy to auto UV, by the way. I think I need to lower the resolution. Adaptive here. And let's see. Let's see if it does some magic here. There you go. All right, cool. Oh, I didn't mean to go back. Do a bind export for a mask. And then we'll look at the mask. Okay. Let's do also a ramp. Let's go back to the in here, attribute, and we do color. We'll just do grayscale. It's weird, I'm not seeing the effect there. Let's do something else right now. Let's move forward. So we're not hung up on these simple things that usually take too much time to figure out if I don't know it right now. So let's see. What do we have here in terms of, I could use a Fresnel. And a Fresnel is pretty much just this. I built it a while ago. It's just this part here. And then this one is for Karma CPU. So then I could remap it with a ramp. And let's see. So that's kind of what the Fresnel does, is just it adds that kind of velvety effect. But we can just use that as a mix mask. And then instead of do it on color, let's remove this here. Oh, I put it on specular, base color. And then we can add like some noises. Noise, unified noise 3D. Let's do a fractal. Let's save this out again. And what if we use a ramp on the back end? Let's see. And then bring another, we'll do black again. And then we can start getting kind of like those patterns, those kind of weird fractal patterns that are on some of the shells. And if we wanted to, we could invert it, see See what that looks like. No, we lost our pattern here. Let's remove the invert. We had it kind of going all over here. And then what we can use that entire thing here. Oh, let's add one more noise right here. And then that will add more frequency, like 500. That's a lot. Let's do 200. Not 2,000, 200. Let's change the type of noise to whirly. Whirly can be good for like additional displacement too. So if we were to link our unified noise, this one, to displacement 0.001. Let's invert this. Zero 0.02. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, the colors are not really where I want them yet, but we can try changing them here. Let's see if I can just do it here. Let's do a color ramp. And will it work? Let's do, oh, because we have a black and white one here. Well, I have to put a color ramp here. And then let's add this other color here. Let's see the shell here. So it's like a light beige, almost skin color, and then like a reddish, desaturated red. So this is kind of like a desaturated red, and then we could just invert this. No, I like it better without it. Another thing we can try, instead of being like a daytime, it could be like a nighttime. And then maybe some of this glows or something. Just a thought. Let's see. So if we were to do that, let's go and turn off the distant light, and let's lower the dome light to like 0.01. No, 0.02. 5. And we'll go into back to the material shell. Let's save this. Make sure we don't get a crash. I'm just paranoid with saving. I've lost a lot of work because I didn't save. And then the auto saves I don't like too much, because then if I'm in the middle of a process doing something and then it auto saves, it could also crash it. So Fresno. We change that mission color. Something like that. I don't know. We're just trying things out, see what sticks. Yeah, something like this maybe. It's like a alien aquatic thing. We got to make sure we get something that resembles water in here before we're finished. All right, let's see what else can we do here. Let's bring the dome light to like a bluish. And another thing we can do is do a karma fog box. To add like that kind of volumetric. Let's add an area light, see what we can do with that. It's starting to look kind of like there's a light shining from somewhere underwater, maybe. And let's make it a disc. And then if we go into the Karma Fog box, we can mess with the density. And let's go into the area light we created here and make it a spotlight. And then just add some more. The other thing we can do is in the Karma Fog box is tint it. So it's kind of like that greenish blue. Maybe a little bit more blue. I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you guys think I should add? We could add a lot more, but how are we doing with time? And 1 hour. Okay, so I'll add some more details and start trying to wrap it up. All right, let's see. Let's go to the grid, and what we can do is add some other additional little points. Or let me see, I haven't used the NPM. I'm wondering if we can do an NPM setup here. Configure sand instances. Okay, let's see. Okay, that's with this guy. All right, let's cancel this because this is taking too long. I think because I'm capturing at the same time. I think we're gonna probably get our first crash here. Oh, there it is. All right, let's open it back up. Give me just 1 second. Yeah, these kind of things happen all the time. You start kind of opening things up and messing around with the settings and all that, and it just ends up crashing. So here I have Houdini back, and let's open our project. It was the spider here. All right. Hopefully we didn't lose stuff. Did we lose stuff? No, don't tell me I lost. Okay. I think we lost some. There's some weird glitch here. I don't know if you see it. Let's get the labs, reset viewport. That is so weird. You see, like in the regular viewport, you can't see it. And then now when I render, it's there. That's so weird. All right, so we're seeing it here. I think something's happening in this section that, let's delete. No, this is the material library. We don't want to delete that. I think everything looks good. Material library, let's just autofill materials. And here we got the light. And then we got our assigned materials. We could bring it all the way up here. All right, so before we had the crash, we had a fog box. Karma fog box. And we made it, I don't remember, but we'll do, let's see. That's just way too big. Let's do 20. Bringing the bottom a little bit up. We'll save a version up. All right. And let's do, what was it? I think we had a area light that we turned into a disk, and we added a lot of intensity, and we were directing it in the same direction as the distant light. So yeah, today's been a slow day for me. I don't know about you guys. I'm actually waiting on some client feedback, and hopefully they get back to me tomorrow so I can finish a project for them. Yeah, there's some weird issue with the view right now. All right, let's take a look at Karma XPU. Okay, that's working okay. It's just our viewport. Our okay, Houdini GL. Let's get the Vulkan one instead. Let's go in here. I don't know why that changed. I had changed it before. Edit preferences. General. I think it is here somewhere. Okay, render OpenGL, Vulkan. Okay, let's apply this. What happened here? It's doing another crash. Oh my god. Okay. Let me open up another instance of Houdini on my other monitor. Okay. All right, so we're back here. Let's just change the viewport here. Apply, accept, close this, and then open it one more time. All right, let's open up back our scene before it crashed, and hopefully the viewport's gonna be better this time around. All right, now we see the shell. I don't know what was happening there with why it switched automatically. Now we have Houdini VK Vulkan viewport, and that's the newest one, and that's what we want to use. So perfect. And let's go back. So we were in the area light. We had talked about making it into a disk, and then we were, oh yeah, the next thing we were doing was on the grid. Before it crashed, we were going into npm sand solver that ended up crashing our scene. And then what I'm just gonna do is do a scatter. I use scatter all the time for different things, and we're just gonna scatter points. Something like that. And we could probably make the size of this smaller so it's more dense. And then we'll merge these two. And then we'll add another attribute, just float. And then the P scale is going to be random. And let's look real quick, see what it looks like. Oh, they're too big. Let's go back. Let's pin the viewport, go inside, and then when we start tweaking here, we can see the size 0.005. Oh, we gotta make sure it's also match sized. And let's lower the scale one more, 0.002. I don't know, it adds something there. Let's add that material of our sand into the points. So if we go in one of these, go into our scene graph tree, we got points in here. We'll drag them in here and copy the same shader in here. turn this off so we don't see it. The selection. And then let's add some more density. What else can we add to this shell to just make it look a little bit better? What if we add some particles? Let's do like a pop wind. And we'll do all the points. And let's add some amplitude. Whoa, that's too much. Let's go back and let's see. Let's also add a pop drag. I'm just kind of playing around with the swirl size and all that because right now it's not really looking that interesting. Let's add some more wind on it. And then I think I would want to, on the pop solver, time scale of 0.1. No, it's too slow. 0.5. And add some substeps. So we don't get the stepping effect. Like there's still some stepping here. So the substeps will just fill in the gaps. But if we kind of do a point jitter maybe after or just add a little bit more turbulence. Maybe we can fix that. All right, so what else can we do here? Add more wind. I think we got to do less points. So I'll just go back here and do a scatter. Let's make sure we have an output here for our geometry. So now we can kind of see the particles more real time. All right, and then I'll do a null here, and I'll just output those points. Let's do a merge and do an instancer, and we'll dive inside and we'll do an object merge and copy paste our points, and then we'll do let's see, internal. So we'll do a actually, instead of an instancer, we don't need an instancer. We can do a SOP create and then just object merge in those points. So we'll put particles and object merge. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And then we go back inside here. They're kind of offset. Let's see. Let's copy this. We're copying the position from our SOP create and pasting it here, and then copy, paste relative references. And now I can have the particles there. And then we'll go in here and we'll do another attribute, just float, just to control our particle scale. Let's see what that looks like. So if let's save this, of course. And I don't see them. I think they're too tiny. Let's there you go, add a little bit more. And then what we can do is add a material. Use the material builder, and we'll just put particles. And we'll add some emission and make it kind of that blue. Then on the assign, we can assign those particles. And we'll add in our, let's make sure we autofill materials. And then particles. Okay. And I think we should probably start planting a camera. So we don't have to keep finding our composition. All right, let's add the camera. And then we can make it a square 1 by 1. And what if we were to make these instead of the particles like that? Maybe it's like small bubbles or something. Let's change the material of the particles into a transmission, and then we can scale up the particles here. Not that much. And I don't think we're gonna need that many points. So let's see what Karma XPU looks like. Yeah, it looks crazy right now. That's too much. Yeah, and the spheres are getting blurry, so we gotta make sure we cut back on the specular roughness, and so we don't get, yeah, we gotta lower that point count on those particles. So let's go back to the particles here, and we can go to scatter. Actually go in here. Let's see what that looks like. Let's hide everything else. So you could see them better. And let's do 250. All right, maybe something like that. Hopefully that's not too many. All right. And let's do a quick render. Let's go into our particles here and kind of lower the ramp here. Let's add some, let's actually add some more again. So if we go, we had like 5,000 to start. Let's do 2,000. Rewind. And then pause it. Now we could do a render. And maybe we have them instead moving just up and not to the side so much. All right, and then let's go in the attribute. There you go. So we have like some big ones and then some small ones. And let's add 0.002. Let's save this and do Karma XPU. All right, it's looking a little bit better, but maybe let's lower the size of the smaller ones. And then the other thing we can do is go back to the fog and turn that like a bluish color. It's too dark. Let's get something like that. And then we can do let's mess around with the camera. Let's get like a 24mm lens. Something like that. And then let's add some depth of field. Go to Karma, or actually sampling, and then the f-stop we'll just add like 5. So let's add our focus here, focus point. And let's add some less. Let's actually reduce the f-stop. Okay, I think this is cool. I'm not sure if I'm digging the shell kind of neon thing here. Maybe we remove that. That was under our emission here. Let's disconnect that. And we're gonna have to mess around with the colors here a bit more. Let's turn this off. Let's turn this one off too. What are we getting here? Let's see. Add some reflection. Then maybe the noise here, we can make it smaller or bigger by lowering the frequency. No, I think it was looking better before. Something like that, maybe. Then we can zoom in a little bit more. And we have, we have a dome light, right? I think we could remove the dome light, add some more. Let's look around here in our scene. And there's some turning black. I'm wondering if that's with the samples. I may need to add a karma settings. Karma render settings. And we'll put it manual. Put 1920. And make sure we have camera 2. And under the limits, let's add some more reflection and refraction. It's weird. It's weird that some of them are like that. Maybe it's too much refraction on it. Let's go into our particles and we'll do 1.2. And what if we thin wall this? Nope. I'll have to figure that out later. I think it might be because it's going through the geometry. So let's go and let's see what the camera looks like from the other angle. And let's move it up a little bit. And brighten it up. Or another thing we could do is, instead of brightening the light, we can get the camera and exposure and bring up the exposure. And let's go back to that material we had, and instead of 1.5, let's go back to the shell. Let's go into emission. Let's do something crazy. Yeah, it's cool, but we lose the shaping of the shell. Can we blur this? What if we blur it? It doesn't really do anything. Yeah, it's not working how I think it should. Let's drop this one here. We're at an hour and 48. Yeah, I'm gonna wrap up. I know I said this earlier, but I'm gonna Let's just do one more tweak to the sand texture. Let's do a noise and then this looks too crazy. One more thing, let's go to the shell and let's do a mix here. Do a ramp color front, and I'm gonna just grab the noise here. Let's see. Yeah, it's not working how I thought it would. All right, let's just leave it how we had it. And the color here, let's just make it a little bit brighter. All right, and then in our displacement, we'll just make the displacement even more, like 300. All right. And I will call this a day. All right, so let's render this out and let's go into this right here. We'll put day 3 and we'll put in Aquatic. All right, and then we'll render this out. Let's save it, of course, and we'll do 3000 by 3000, Karma XPU 512. And render. And then we'll do the same thing. We'll just add a little bit of chromatic aberration and finish it off. Did you guys like it? I'm not really seeing how many people were in the chat, but hopefully there was someone watching, at least one. That's all I need. Just one person. All right, let's see. It's still rendering, still at 1 minute and 36 seconds. I put a good amount of samples at 3K render. I just want to make sure that last frame looks nice. But if it goes over 5 minutes, I'm just gonna cancel it and then lower the samples and then just render that one at a lower resolution and lower samples. So yeah, we can, in the meantime, we can look at the Mardini 26 to see if somebody else put something else while we were working. So we'll go here in the forum, image. All right. While we wait, we can just browse. Oh, it finished. There you go. All right, cool. So it finished a little earlier than the 5 minutes, and then we'll grab our comp here from yesterday. All right. And we'll open that location where that file is. Oh, I ended up not putting a name here, so it rendered with the Karma name. So let's bring it in here. And go into our composite view. And here's our render. Here's with the chromatic aberration, and we can add less. We don't need that much. Tomorrow's prompt, I'm not really sure. I'll have to check in a little bit. Aquatic, day 3, and render. All right, and then that's my submission. So this is it. This is what we were able to create in 2 hours of work. We got halfway, probably an hour in, but you know, the rendering and lighting and shading is what usually takes a long time, messing around, moving things around, moving the camera around, trying to get a good angle. That's usually what takes quite some time, but I think I'm pretty happy with the result right now. So let's take a look real quick. Mardini 2026. And tomorrow's is architecture. So that's going to be interesting. I think there's going to be a lot of really good submissions for that one. I know there was one, I think it was Johan on the last live stream that he was working on that one. So yeah, there's quite a bit of entries, and then everybody wins something every day. So, you know, best artwork, you know, first place Dell laptop. There's a bunch of different things. 1 year of Houdini core licensing and an effects license. So there's a lot of good stuff. I don't know if I don't think they win every day. I think at the end of the contest, after the entire month has passed, they kind of count up all the points, and then whoever got the most points will win this stuff. All right, so I think that's it for today, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for the architecture one. And I hope you guys have a good night, and I'll see you soon.